All right, everybody, we are just getting started doing discussions about autism. If you're an autism parent, this is the place for you. If you think your child might have autism and you want to learn, this is the place for you. If you are just curious to learn about autism, this is the place for you. This is a safe spot, a place that you can ask questions, a place that we can have real conversations. We can laugh together, we can cry together. Destiny, hello. Good to see you. We're just getting started here. Everybody tap on that screen. Let's get the likes going. Let's see how many people we can get this out to today. Let me just get a few things set up here while we're getting started. Guys, I'm a little bit later because I was creating something pretty cool. I have a cool new resource that's free. A praise report. Oh my goodness. Hey, Melissa, good to see you. Like the teacher was praising your child? Is that what you got? Oh my gosh. Both of your children are sleeping at the same time? How did you do that? Oh, got it. Were medications involved? All right. That is a celebration for sure. For sure. You guys, I've been working on a cool new feature, a cool new resource for people for legal purposes. Nope. Very good. Yes, I've been working on a cool new resource. If you look at my bio in my link tree, there's something new there that you'll see. For a lot of you who already have a child with autism, who already have a diagnosis, this isn't going to help. But I did create a free autism screener. It's the MChat that I reference all the time, but I made it extremely accessible to everybody. And so now when we tell people go and find the MChat online, I can just say it's right there on my link tree. You click on it, you answer 23 questions, and it gives you a score of how at risk your child is for autism. So wanted to make a free resource for people. That way I can point people in a good direction. I'm currently in talks with the organization that has copyrighted MChat. They allow nonprofits to use it for free, and I explained to them what I'm doing, and I'm waiting to hear back. But we're gonna use it in the meantime, and if they want me to pay percentage of the free that I handed out for, I'll give them the percentage of 0. So we'll see what they say. Okay, everybody. Welcome. Good morning. I am just a little bit late today because I've been working on some stuff. I'll bring it up as we go. Do you know what the warning signs for autism burnout can be? Okay, look, if you are a parent of a child with autism and you are burning out, there are a lot of warning signs. If your child has autism and they are burning out, or if you have autism and you're burning out, there are also signs. So lots of things. Let me know which one of those applies to you. How do you deal with refusal to walk? Mexa, is it refusal or is it a skill or muscular deficiency, Mexa? Have they ever walked before, Mexa? Do they have the skill of being able to walk? That is the question that I would ask. If they have not, he walks indoors but not outdoors. Okay, there's a confidence thing here. I would really recommend physical therapy. If you have motor movement struggles with your child, physical therapy is going to be great. Even if it feels like it's a refusal, it can be a separate skill to walk outside on uneven terrain versus indoors when it's comfortable. And so, yeah, my child, one of the things he was delayed with walking and everything, and he could walk inside really good, but outside, the cracks in the sidewalk he couldn't do. And so he would sit down and he'd like kind of scoot over each crack, and then he'd stand up and then he'd walk and then he'd sit down and he'd scoot past all the cracks. And so a physical therapist worked with him on that in early intervention. Bad, good morning, good to see you. Oh yeah, Destiny, like from car to the therapy center, immediately have to carry him. Yeah, there can be times that your child will refuse to walk. If it's like refusing to go somewhere and they have to go, you pick them up and take them. Mallory, good morning, hello. Kel says, any tips on giving medicine? I normally have to mask it in a cup of juice. He is starting to refuse. Oh yeah, this is an ongoing battle. Like I've had parents who mix it in with like pudding or mashed potatoes or ice cream. A lot of things that you can do. Just make sure that you are consulting with your pediatrician, because I know some medicine, they're really strict on what it's mixed with and what form it has to be in when you deliver it. Coffee, what's your qualifications for calling yourself an expert? All right, so I have 2 kids with autism, and they're my life. I love everything about them. I'm a board certified behavior analyst, the BCBA, which means that I've been working with kids with autism for the past 13 years. I have a master's degree in autism studies. I currently run a company that provides services to people with autism. And so I'm not saying I know everything about autism, and I'll tell you guys when I don't know something, but I'm definitely well equipped to talk to parents and to cry with parents and to laugh with parents and to talk about our wonderful children. So no science or physiology or neurological background. Yeah, so I guess my master's degree in autism studies definitely talked about the science behind it. It was an emphasis in applied behavior analysis, which is a science of behavior. But yeah, I'm not a doctor. In the UK, we don't use the level system. Wonderful. Yeah, I know about that. And, sometimes I wish the United States didn't either. There's some questions with it. What does it mean to be autistic level 1 and 2? So the levels, level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1 refers to low support needs. Level 3 refers to high support needs. So level 1, level 2, and level 3. Now, here's the problem, is it is not consistently handed out, the levels. Level 1 to one psychologist is not the same as a level 1 for another psychologist. There is no standardized method for declaring what level the child is. And so, yeah. Any experience with level 2 in their 20s? Yeah, so we actually run a clinic that's specifically for those with higher support needs that are adults in Utah. And so I do have a lot of experience with those. What questions do you have, Ash? I'd love to talk to you about it. Paula, I'm based in Utah. We have clinics throughout Utah, but really I'm on here just as a parent, not here as a representative of my company. I just enjoy talking to parents. Can you get bad depression with autism? Yeah. So unfortunately, Lily, there are quite often comorbid diagnoses of depression and anxiety alongside autism. So yes, absolutely. That alone is not a sign of autism, but they can co-occur for sure. 1 second here. I keep getting distracted. Guys, I have a cool new tool that I've been working on. It took me a little bit. That's why I'm on a little bit later. Those of you who are on here regularly know that I'm on at noon Eastern time usually, and I'm an hour late. Now, I'm an hour late because I have been working on making available a free autism screener that is the most evidence-based screener. It's the MChat that every doctor gives out to everybody. And I keep wanting to point people in the right direction. And so I went ahead and made it super easy to fill out online. And I'm working with them right now to ensure that everything that I'm doing is kosher with what they want to see. But in the meantime, we are good for you guys. If anyone wants to know if your toddler has autism, the MChat is the best place to start. That's what your pediatrician will do. That's what, a psychologist would do, is have you fill out the MChat. Yeah, this is not a diagnosis. Yeah, the screener is an initial screening, and it gives you if your child is at low, moderate, or high risk of autism, just like your pediatrician would tell you. All right, good morning, Lexi. Good to see you. Mandy, my oldest son is undiagnosed, and I will need this because we were having such a hard time finding a doctor. Yeah. Look, it can be hard to find a doctor who understands it. A good sign, though, is that pediatricians do give out this same screener. It's the same one. Pediatricians give out the MChat at 18 months and at 24 months. But you don't have to wait to go into the doctor to see, where you fall on that. And so Donna says, thoughts on ABA therapy? Well, I am a board certified behavior analyst, which means I've been the clinician involved in ABA therapy for a long time. I think it is very evidence-based. I think that the outcomes are undeniable as far as progress that we see in people who go through ABA therapy. I also think that there's a part of it that, there are legitimate concerns with people's experience, especially those who went through this in the 90s and early 2000s. It was it for some kids it was traumatizing because of an overemphasis on masking, an overemphasis on compliance. And so as you put your children through ABA, that's just something to keep in mind. All right, everybody, we are just getting started here. We have 2,500 likes. Let's keep those taps going, get this out to as many people as we can, and keep the questions coming. I love this. Ange says, I feel like my anxiety went up way more being an autism parent. Yeah. Mine for sure has. Yes. Part of it is like, I don't know if you guys feel this, but you just can't relax, That's a hard part. When you have a kid with autism, you're not just going to go and sit at a restaurant while your kid is eating their own food. Like, no, if you have a kid with autism, your kid is up and running around. And you can't just go to a family party and, while all the adults will try to have conversations with you, and you can only give half attention because you're chasing your kid around at the same time. It is, you have to be a helicopter parent, and everyone will tell you you're doing it wrong and to stop being a helicopter parent, but your kid will literally run away and, be unsafe if you're not watching them at all times. So, yeah, I mean, does a delay particularly mean autism? My son has a speech and developmental delay. Yenny, good question. No, a delay does not mean autism. Autism is a very specific diagnosis. It is not just speech or development, but speech is a part of it. And so what we're looking at is, yes, communication, but also social. Social and communication isn't always the same. One of the key indicators is joint attention. For example, does your child reference you when referencing other objects? A good question for this is, if you point at an item across the room, will your child try to look at where you're looking or where you're pointing? Usually this develops in neurotypical children between 9 to 12 months. If your kid's over a year and doesn't look where you're pointing or doesn't point themselves, that is a sign of not engaging in joint attention and can be a sign of autism. There's a lot more to it, though, a lot more to it. How come some ASD kids are very social? I thought it was a social developmental condition. Doubly, that's a common misunderstanding. There are kids with autism that are extremely social, but they may be missing some social cues, or there ought to be diagnosed with autism. There does have to be some sort of a social concern part of it, but that's such a small part, like repetitive behaviors or like stereotypy that kind of regulate the nervous system. The stimming is another sign. The need for structure and sameness and routine and pattern is another part of it. Yeah, there's a lot of parts of autism. It's not just social. It's not just development. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Mine is social but fixated on one topic, invades space. Yeah. That's a good example. Yep. Or maybe they don't recognize emotions in other people. That can come in. How does one get diagnosed? Okay, so if you're wondering about your child getting diagnosed, the first thing is your pediatrician will do a screener with you at 18 months and at 24 months. It's usually the MChat. Now, you don't have to wait for that appointment to do the MChat to see your results. I actually, in my profile, you can do the MChat for free. It's very simple. Just go into my bio, and you can pre-screen for it. Now, just keep in mind, any online test, okay? If you do any online test, you can do the MChat. You can do it anywhere. You don't never pay to have a screener done. But to get an actual evaluation, if you are found to be high risk on the MChat, then you need to go and schedule an evaluation for your child. That's usually done through a psychologist. Sometimes it's a developmental pediatrician that you can find, but you're gonna have to find someone locally. And don't get on a long wait list. You need a short wait list. How do you explain the difference between ABA and OT? Okay, there is overlap, you guys. When I recommend, okay, so your child gets diagnosed with autism, then what? Well, there's a lot of misinformation out there. You are never going to feel like you are doing enough for your child. There's always going to be more therapies. There's always going to be more diets and supplements and things that people try to sell you on. There's always going to be so much. But my advice to you is to stick to the main therapies. There are 4 frontline therapies to autism that are typically recommended: ABA, occupational therapy, speech therapy, and for those who are more conversational, mental health therapy can be amazing. These are all covered by your insurance, and the difference, there's overlap between all of these, but the differences between ABA and OT is OT typically they specialize in sensory needs. Now they can also work on skill development and things like that, but they are typically more trained than BCBAs doing ABA on how to support children in meeting their sensory needs. Quite often, they will also have a specialization in feeding, which can be really helpful. ABA is very general. They are the ultimate skill builders. They can teach behaviors, and by teaching behaviors, that can reduce problem behaviors. They can teach communication. They have the most amount of hours that insurance will pay for. Let's see. He didn't remove it. Those lives are at night. Destiny, did someone ask about my my vaccine stuff? Oh, yeah, might as well join. Okay, I think what might as well join, Destiny, what they're talking about is the CDC. The CDC recently changed a statement. Okay, might as well join. Let me tell you what happened here. So the CDC recently updated their website to say that that the statement that vaccines don't cause autism has not been found or has not been completely proven to be true. I have a major problem with that shift. Major problem, because in science, you cannot prove a negative. There's no amount of studies that you can do to prove it. Now, what they'll say is they haven't done randomized clinical trials. Yeah, because it's illegal to do a randomized clinical trial. You'd have to give some kids a real vaccine that protects them, and other kids you'd have to give them a placebo. And you wouldn't be allowed to tell them which one has which goes against all ethics in research. And so you cannot do a randomized clinical trial. So what are our options? Massive correlational studies. And so we have dozens of studies that follow the life in these cohort studies, follow the life of people that did receive vaccines and who didn't. And across millions of children, it's consistently shown that there's no correlation between vaccines and autism. So that is as much as you can prove it. Like, my question is, what else can you do? What more are people wanting to prove that vaccines don't cause autism? This isn't something that we get to just say, well, I guess we don't know. Well, no, like, there is very convincing evidence. It is like, yeah, we can't prove a lot of things in life. We can't prove that gravity is going to still be here tomorrow, but we all believe it, right? Like, it is that convincing that the studies have been so clear that vaccines don't cause autism. But then the CDC has put in some concerning language about that. Honestly, it's concerned me a lot. We know mercury is toxic. Yeah, there's no mercury that children get. No mercury in vaccine, Shamsa. The only mercury in vaccines is not methyl mercury, it's ethyl mercury, and it's in flu vaccine for adults. Yeah, it sucks when the facts are against your narrative, doesn't it? Yeah, it really does. When people have a narrative, you're spot on there. When people have like a pre-existing agenda, like that they already think vaccines cause it, and then they will just push anything to try to prove that. Okay, if a child hits and kicks and then laughs, is that considered a meltdown? He has ASD. Glorious. This is a good question. If child hits and kicks and then laughs, is it considered a meltdown? Not necessarily. Look, in applied behavior analysis, we talk about behavior in the language of function of behavior. What is the purpose of the behavior? And so labeling it a meltdown, it doesn't help anything. The label of meltdown is not helpful in the description. What we want to know is what typically happens before the behavior occurs, what does the behavior look like, and then what happens after the behavior. And if you're consistently seeing that maybe you're doing something else, not paying attention to the child, they engage in those behaviors like hitting or kicking, and then they get reprimanded, and then they laugh. To me, what that tells me is that reprimanding or telling them no or addressing them or correcting them is actually reinforcing the behavior. And one way that we address that is improving communication. We want the child to be able to say, "Mom, I want to play." Like, "Mom, can we play a game?" And teach them how to play and interact and get that positive attention without having to engage in those behaviors. Shamsa says the Marisol injected is toxic. Oh, are we back on the vaccine stuff? The Marisol is mercury, and like I said, ethyl mercury is not in any vaccines given to children. It's in the flu vaccine. Megan says my grandson was referred to ABA and speech, but not OT. Should we push for OT? Megan, it's hard to say which services your child needs. It is not as clear-cut as saying do everything, because you might not have capacity to do that. I will say that that sometimes we have to prioritize what you have capacity for. I recommend ABA therapy, speech therapy, and occupational therapy if your kid is young. And then as they get older, mental health therapy can be really helpful if they're conversational. But that doesn't mean your child has to do all of those things. Don't feel like you have so much pressure to do all of those things. What helps is to understand what each one has to offer. Occupational therapy typically is 1 or 2 hours a week that you're able to get approved. Some insurances, it's even less than that. Speech therapy, it's the same. And so neither of those are as big of a commitment. ABA, if you want to do it well and do it right, it's an intensive therapy. It is 20 to 40 hours a week is typically recommended for a child. Now, for the child, it should feel fun and playful. My child loves to go to ABA and cries when it's time to come home. But some things that I would consider, if my child was really struggling with some sensory needs, I would really consider occupational therapy. If my child wasn't communicating, I would definitely do speech. No matter what, I want my child to catch up in all aspects of their development and know the research behind intensive therapy. And I am prioritizing right now ABA for my child. But he does have a speech therapist as well. All right, you guys. Yeah, if you want to talk about vaccines, I encourage you to come back to my live tonight. Most nights around 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I have good discussions about it. Right now, it's more of autism parent support. And so, Shamsa, I know you have a lot of thoughts, but are you an autism parent? How's your child doing? That's what we want to talk about right now. Oh, Ash, let's learn about Ava's Law. I've heard of this. I want to learn about it. Tell me about Ava's Law. What is Ava's Law? This is a good thing. Let's learn. Let's learn, you guys. Time to learn. Okay, all 50 U.S. states now have some form of autism insurance mandate, but they don't all call it Ava's Law. And so there are insurance mandates in all laws, but it's not all the exact same. So I'm wondering, what you've seen vary. Indiana is known specifically as Ava's Law, but there are, all states do have some insurance mandates. So. Okay. DC says, serious question. When should ABA refer client to mental health services? What a good question. What a good question. I think if a child is conversational, if a child is conversational and they're showing signs of mental health concerns like anxiety, depression, mental health therapy should be recommended. That doesn't mean as a replacement for ABA. Mental health therapy typically is an hour a week that you can do at most, and I wouldn't say I can't think of a circumstance in my career where I've said instead of ABA just do mental health therapy, but I have said, hey, look, why don't you pick up your kid an hour early and go do some therapy with your kid. What we're really looking for is a collaborative approach across professionals. You want mental health therapists that get along with the BCBA. You want BCBAs that get along with their OTs and everyone working together. All right. What else do we have? What other questions? I am pulling over. If I'm ignoring any of your questions, I apologize. Just know that. Oh, shoot. I'm missing some questions. Okay. Let me. So over on YouTube, I do answer questions. I make sure I answer questions every time. Freak says, thanks for allowing us to be part of your village and ours yours. Father of 6-year-old with autism. I listen on TikTok at home, but appreciate being able to listen on YouTube while at work. Much love. Ran out of space. Thank you for your knowledge and perspective. Freak Nasty, thank you so much. Thank you so much over on YouTube. And yeah, I really appreciate you listening in. We do these lives daily. You can listen to my evening lives, which end up being more controversial, of having discussions about myths around autism and controversial subjects. I want to learn, I want to discuss, I want to share what I know and learn what you know. And in the mornings, it's more of autism support. So you can reference back all of those on the YouTubes. Have you read anything about the FDA approving leucovorin for kids with CFD yesterday? Let me check some news on leucovorin. Let me check some news, you guys. Thanks for sharing recent news. All right, you guys. Are kids with autism allowed free health care? Stipends, not necessarily. That is something that some states do have by default. If you have a disability like autism, you get Medicaid. Now, not all states have that. For example, where I live in Utah, it's not simply having a disability. You also have to have an income requirement. And so if you earn more than a certain amount, you are not eligible for Medicaid. Let's see. In March 2026, the US FDA approved leucovorin only for a rare disorder called cerebral folate deficiency, a condition that can cause autism-like symptoms but is extremely rare. Regulators emphasize that this approval does not apply to autism spectrum disorder broadly. The agency said there is insufficient evidence that leucovorin is effective or safe for most autistic children. Okay. Yeah. So we know. Okay, so if your child has cerebral folate deficiency, this is a very small subset of children with autism that you can do the FRAT test and help diagnose. It is rare, and the 4 randomized clinical trials that are still in paper today, they have mixed yet promising evidence towards leucovorin for cerebral folate deficiency. But leucovorin is currently not recommended widely for children with autism. Yeah, that's very similar. Thanks for the update on that, though. That's good to know. My 3-year-old gets aggressive, working to get ABA and behavior therapy. Anything else you recommend? At age 3, you have so much time. Your child is going to see so much progress. It is crazy. It really will blow your mind what can actually happen. And ABA is wonderful. Now, some things, if your child does not communicate well, I would recommend speech therapy. Now, if your child gets speech therapy in school, oftentimes that can be sufficient. Just work with your speech therapist and discuss if they feel like more will be helpful. Occupational therapy is the only other thing to consider here with a 3-year-old. And it all depends on your capacity. If you don't have much of a village, you might be okay with this much. But if you have the capacity and you have the village, occupational therapy has been shown to help people with autism. Okay. Feel confused. They assessed my son high autism in school. Now I'm thinking he's autistic level 3. Gabby, does he have an official autism diagnosis yet, or are you on a wait list to get that? You need to have a psychologist kind of talk through that with you. Biscotti says the outside world is exhausting. Yeah, I feel that. Okay, I want to know who all is in here. I regularly do this so I can tailor my chat a little bit to the people that we have in here. Put 1 in the chat if you are an autism parent. Put 2 in the chat if you think you have autism or if you have autism. Put 3 in the chat if you are here to just learn and observe. A lot of 1s, a lot of 2s. We got some 3s. Now, I'm curious. Do we have anyone in here? 2 was if you have autism or if you think you have autism. Okay, now to clarify for those that put 1, do we have anyone here who thinks their child has autism but not yet diagnosed? Put 4 in the chat. I want to know, do you have a child that you think has autism but you're not sure, or you're considering it, that maybe your child has autism? Put 4 in the chat. Okay, yeah. This is a big deal, you guys. Look, I want you to know that this can be one of the hardest stages is knowing that or having this gut feeling that something is off with your child. Yeah, Paige says my 8-month-old answers his name only sometimes and barely babbles. I'm worried. Yeah, 2 evals coming up. Okay, yeah. All right. You guys, look, if you are thinking that your child might have autism, what are the signs? What are the signs? What are the signs that you're seeing that are making you worried right now? For those that put 4 in the chat, let's look at some of those. Tell us in the chat, what have you noticed with your child that's causing some of this concern? Oh my gosh, April. ADOS testing currently. I'm in the car waiting. Are you kidding me, April? You're in the middle of getting your autism evaluation right now for your child? I am so glad that you're in here. How are you feeling, April? That's a big deal. Marion says withdrawn socially. Yeah, okay. Kel says, what's the difference between Asperger's and autism? So Asperger's was essentially level 1 autism, low support needs, before 2013. 2013, they widened the diagnostic criteria. So Asperger's doesn't exist anymore. Darcy says nonverbal and stimming. Yeah. Timmy says, my kid just started talking and often only says the same few words over and over. Okay, Timmy. Yeah. Okay. Here are the steps. If you think that your child has autism, the very first thing I want you to do is number 1, first, make sure you have a village. Your child, if you have a gut feeling, either it's autism or there's some other developmental concerns, and you need friends and family who are supporting you. You really do. This is a hard journey to go on, and you really need family and friends. You need a village. We can be that village. Let us be part of that village for you here on this live. But also, you need a physical village. How is that village coming, everybody? Um, I want to know if you feel like your village, that you have a sufficient village, put yes in the chat. If you feel like your village is not sufficient for what you need, put no in the chat. I want to know how people are doing right now. Do you have a village? Yes or no? Do you have a village? We can concern ourselves all day about our kids. But what our kids need is a mother and a father, or a father. I mean, they need a parent who is regulated, who is taking care of themselves, uh, who isn't operating on fumes and burnt out. And a village is the way to make that happen. And it's not something that it's like, oh, I don't have it. I guess I'm one of the people that don't get one. You can build a village, and I want you to build a village. Okay, so we talked about getting a village, but if you think your child has autism, work on that village. But number two, you need clarity. You need to know if your child has autism. The first step is you need to do a pre-screener. You need to do what's called the MChat if you have a younger child. The MCHAT, MChat. That is what pediatricians use at 18 months and 24 months. It's a free evaluation that's 23 questions. And I conveniently put a free version in the link in my bio that gives you the results instantly. It'll take you 5 minutes to do. And if you are detected at high risk of autism, it will tell you. And just know that more than half of those that are detected high risk end up going and getting an autism diagnosis. Up to 90% show that it has, that if you indicate yes, that you need to be seen for developmental delays. So go ahead and fill that out. I just made it today. And so if it's not working well, let me know. Give me feedback. I just put this together. I wanted a free resource for people. It's the MChat. Now, what that's going to do is if you score on that MChat over a 7, I believe it's 7. I need to look at the scoring again. I believe it's a 7. Okay, 8. If it's 8 or higher, so over 7. If you score an 8 or higher on the MChat, you don't need to call your pediatrician right away. You can to get a second opinion, but you are able to go straight to a psychologist who evaluates autism. You don't need to wait. Don't delay. If you take this test and your kid has an 8 or higher, you start calling psychologists in your area to see who can evaluate your child for autism. Children can be diagnosed for autism any age over the age of 12 months, but most psychologists wait until at least 18 months. Let's see. Potato says, is it weird I took the symptoms and I was diagnosed for, saw them in my kid and went, oh my. Yeah. We see ourselves in our kids. And yeah, when my children were diagnosed, it definitely made me reflect on myself a little bit. Yeah. So, okay. So we got ourselves through step 1 and step 2 of the autism parent journey, you guys. If you're there, if you got your village set up, if you got clarity and got an evaluation, one more thing I'll say on the evaluation is psychologists want to wait forever. They don't necessarily want to, but they enjoy the job security of having months out wait lists. Let me tell you how I know this. When my son was on a wait list for over a year, I called every psychologist, and one psychologist, I called about 30 of them. One of them talked to me and said, hey, I'm frustrated that no one has immediate openings. Like it's terrifying. My child needs services. And the psychologist said, yeah, I know it's unfair for you, but look at it from my point of view. It's great job security. That's what a psychologist told me. And so what I want to tell you guys is don't just get on one wait list. There's a couple things to do. One, call every psychologist that does autism evaluations until you get in under 6 months, preferably under 3 months. And don't just do your own city. Look 5-hour radius. it is worth driving 5 hours if you can get in within a month to get your child evaluated. This is not me trying to fearmonger, but there is significant loss in development if you are waiting a full year before you can begin intensive services. So call everywhere. Call everywhere. Get your evaluation. All right, you guys, what other questions do you have? Not only for psychologists, we also have to wait lists for homes and assistance at home. Yeah, okay, so there's also wait lists for services. And so we always have to be looking for how to get past wait lists. I have a lot of thoughts on that. What way do levels work? Megan, good question. Levels, don't hold to the levels. The levels, what they're intended to do is to say autism is a spectrum. Not everybody with autism has the same level of support needs. Level 1 was designed to say, hey, you don't have very many support needs, but you're still on the autism spectrum. Whereas level 3 was more of you have a lot of support needs. Maybe you don't have any form of communication. Maybe you have intense problem behaviors. And the problem with it, it's good intentioned, but the problem, and this doesn't occur in other countries. Like in the UK, they don't have levels. And a lot of psychologists within the United States don't give out the levels. But what you're going to do is, or what you see quite often is that what level 1 and level 2 mean to one psychologist is not the same as it means to another. And so it's not consistently used. There's not a standardized test to see what level your child is. It's also a moving target. And so just because your child was level 2 when they got diagnosed doesn't mean a year later you can go and say, oh yeah, I have a level 2 autistic child. That's not how that works. At that point in time, what that level means is at that specific point in time, when the psychologist evaluated your child, that specific psychologist thought your child was level 2. That's all it means. All right, you guys, let's continue with some of these questions. And again, if I am missing any questions, just know I do answer every question over on the YouTube. The link is in my bio. Okay, here on TikTok, my son was diagnosed with autism without a level. The psychologist told me they are on the spectrum. Liv, that's all that you need to know. You don't get more or less services based on the level. A lot of psychologists, even in the United States, don't do the level. Okay. Megan said, yeah, they told us the levels could change, go up and down depending on help or lack of help. Yeah, Megan, and in just typical development, you know. People progress, people change, people develop, and what supports you need today aren't the same as what you need tomorrow. Mom of the Montoya boys says, what does it mean to get on the waiver? Okay, so getting on the waiver can mean a lot of things. When I talk about the autism journey, first is build your village. Second is get clarity. Third is build your care team. That's get all your therapies in order. Step 4 is learn what you can as a parent. But then step 5, this part 5 of the autism journey, is where you start planning for your child's future. And a lot of that can include different waivers that are available. Now, in the United States, there's something called home and community-based supports. And it's HCBS. Every state runs this differently and calls it something different. Oh, thank you for the heart me. Guys, the heart me's do go a long ways. Nin sent a go popular. Thank you so much. Guys, I really appreciate you guys doing all that. It does get it out to more people. Thank you so much. Okay. Let's see. Mitch says in Canada, the level does matter. You get different services depending on needs. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, to continue about the waiver question, though, is these are long-term supports. This is like group homes or respite coming in to take care of your child. Resources are limited. Wait lists are long. And so the waiver typically refers to getting on the disability support waiver in your state. In Utah, it's a 10 to 20 year wait list. 10 to 20 year wait list. Can you read Monty's question? I don't see Monty's question. You, if you want guaranteed that I can answer it, hop on over to the YouTube and Post it. I'll try to get though. I'll keep my eye out for that one for Monty's. Yeah, Wendy, that shouldn't be the case. I agree. We do have a comment over on YouTube though. Andrea says they did a virtual evaluation and told us my daughter has level 2 autism. Yeah, I wish everyone could have an in-person evaluation, but I really see the benefit of the virtual stuff. It's not ideal, okay? It's not ideal, but the wait lists for autism evaluations are ridiculous. It is so frustrating because every month that you don't get intensive services for your child with autism, you are missing out on immense progress your child can be making. The data are clear that when you have a child who starts early intervention before the age of 3 with like ABA therapy, the odds of them progressing and improving are far greater. That where they will go will be far greater than if you wait to start until they're 4. And every year after that, it gets, more and more significant and important to start young. Now, that doesn't mean if you have an older kid, don't do it. I serve adults and we see progress. And so absolutely still do it. But the wait lists are pretty challenging. My child is level 2, nonverbal. He scripts. What do you know about scripting? He's 4. Okay. Scripting a lot of times is associated with the Gestalt language processing. What that typically refers to is learning phrases and words without necessarily functional meaning, and just repeating those words. This is a normal part of language development, especially for kids with autism. Have you guys heard of the GLP, Gestalt language processing? Kids who, this is typically something speech therapists will bring up, SLPs. And it describes how many of our kids with autism process language, where instead of word by word, they learn to communicate. They learn what mama means. They learn what dada means. They first learn to repeat phrases. And I like to compare it to Legos, that like a baby, every word they learn, you're giving them a Lego and they're building a house, which is their language. For Gestalt language processors, you give them the house made of Legos and they break it apart piece by piece. So they start repeating words and phrases and scripting. And then little by little, they pick apart the words, they dissect them, and they learn to communicate. Now, Gestalt language processing doesn't mean an intellectual disability. It just means a different way of learning language. And so, Nanny says not every speech therapist is trained in GLP. Yeah, that's right. It is something, though, to consider of how is your child learning language? Do you feel like they're repeating phrases and describing, quoting the world instead of functionally interacting with the world? And that's kind of a key indicator that there could be some GLP going on. Okay. Sakura says, my son is becoming bigger and stronger than me. What medications has worked for everyone? Sakura, look, I really highly recommend that you consult with your pediatrician on this. Medications are a big factor. A lot of people are very anti-medications, but I find in the autism world, sometimes they're needed. And what I have seen is when medications are coupled with intensive therapies and supports, then you get kind of the best of both worlds, that your child may level out a little bit with the medications and are in a place where they can learn through therapies. But you really need to be working with your pediatrician on that. How early can you tell if a child has autism? Well, you can tell fairly early on. You can tell, depending on the child, you start seeing early signs, 6-9 months. Some of those earliest signs. Tell me, you guys, what were the earliest signs that you saw with your child? Earliest signs of autism that you saw with your child. Some of the earliest that I hear people talk about are they don't learn to respond to their name. They don't point. Usually kids learn to point and they look where you're pointing between 9 to 12 months old. And if they're struggling to learn that can indicate autism. Some of the stimming, so sensory stuff like flapping hands and making unusual hand movements in front of the face or fixating on lights. Some of the earliest signs, though, like with my daughter, we didn't see any signs until after the age of 1, and she started to regress. She used to respond to her name, and then she stopped. But my first child with autism, it was very clear from birth that, or from very early on. Daisy says, "Is there any cure for autism?" Daisy, there is no cure. You cannot reverse autism. Autism is not something that happens to a baby. It's the way their brain was developed. But what you can do is you can support autism. The best supports for autism are various therapies that can start early on. And so these include things like ABA therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy. When done as early intervention, we see a lot of improvement and support for people with autism. But it's not curing autism. It just is supporting and making it so that the child is more successful interacting with their environment. Does it cause because of screen time? Please tell me. Unicorn, good question. Autism parents are constantly questioned about what caused their child to have autism. And to answer your question flat out, no, screen time does not cause autism. Screen time is not correlated with autism as a cause. What we do know is that screen time can impact a child's ability to learn how to socialize with other people. And so it can cause social delays. And so there has been a term coined that I despise, but it's a term called virtual autism, which refers to that effect that people see of too much screen time and their child not socializing well. But that is not autism. And I encourage people not to use that language because it minimizes what autism actually is and can cause confusion in people to make them think screen time does have something to do with autism. Okay. For that question about the earliest signs and the earliest way to know about a child with autism, the very first thing that you're going to want to do if you suspect that your child has autism is you need to do a free screener of autism. It's called the MChat if you have a toddler. You can look it up online. I have it linked in my bio for convenience. It's free. It's just you get results immediately, and it tells you if you're low, moderate, or high risk of autism. And it's currently the kind of the gold standard for screening those toddler age. So, all right, let's continue answering some questions. The MChat, MCHAT. Okay, question about the MMR. The MMR vaccine is the vaccine that has been studied the most about autism. If you want more controversial comments about or conversations about vaccines and hearing all sides of the argument, come join my lives at night. That's where I tend to discuss those more. Right now, you should just know that the wide consensus among medical professionals, researchers, and scientists is that vaccines do not impact autism, including the MMR, that they have shown to be safe with regards to autism. Heavy metals are not delivered. The only metal that you should be aware of is the aluminum, and even the aluminum is in such small doses that there is no concern for impact regarding autism. So, okay. Yeah, vaccines definitely did not cause autism. It's kind of tricky to test that because you can't do randomized clinical trials for vaccines. That's unethical. Randomized clinical trials means you give one kid a placebo and you give another kid not a placebo. And so, or the vaccine. And when we know vaccines save lives, doing a randomized clinical trial is against every institutional review board ethics, because what you're doing is denying some children without telling them and their families that they may or may not be predisposed to autism. So, um, level 4 autism and epilepsy are very closely linked. Samantha, there are 3 levels in the DSM to autism. Do you answer questions from adults with autism? Love to answer those. Is autism genetic? Yes, we do know a lot of autism is genetic. So, yeah, there are very clear studies. We have pinpointed it's polygenic, not genetic, which is a type of being genetic. It is genetic, but you can't pinpoint a single gene. A lot of times, people who don't believe it's genetic will say, "Okay, what's the gene then?" Well, there's hundreds of them that are associated. It's polygenic. Any or all of those genes can impact the way that your brain develops in utero. Science currently points to about 80 to 90% of autism to be caused by genetics, and the other 10 to 20% to be impacted by environmental risk factors during pregnancy or at birth. I currently know of no risk factors, and I'd love to learn if others have some, but I have not yet seen any data to pinpoint any risk factor after the day the child is born. And so all risk factors to autism occur during pregnancy or during birth. The some of those risk factors I can talk about if people want. Just let me know in the chat and I can talk about risk factors. Oh, Butterbean, what are the risk factors while pregnant? Okay, so here are some risk factors that we have for during pregnancy and at birth. So we know parental age is a risk factor. Specifically fathers over the age of 40 have particularly been found to be linked to an increased risk of autism. Again, that's the father at conception over the age of 40. That doesn't mean don't have kids. All these risk factors are really outside your control and should not impact your ability or decision to have a child. Another main one is pollutants that the mother is exposed to. So we know that automobile pollution as well as wildfire smoke have both, when the mother is disposed to high levels of pollution, automobile pollution and wildfire smoke, there is an increased chance that that child is going to have autism. We also know that premature birth and some other health conditions like oxygen deficiency at birth can be linked to autism. There's also things like gestational diabetes that has a very, very weak, slight correlation. But what you need to know is all of these things are outside of the mother's control. Infection in the mother as well. Tylenol, although there was a Harvard study that showed a correlation, later studies have not been able to replicate that correlation, that when you rule out a lot of the confounding variables from that study, that correlation goes away. So that's something to keep in mind, is anytime that there's a risk factor, as soon as a risk factor is identified, people go out and they duplicate those studies, they replicate. That's a key part of science, is replication. And so whenever a correlation exists and it's a single study, they go and they say, okay, what factors could be influencing this? How do we rule out those factors? They do an additional study and they measure that. And for Tylenol, there was no risk factor detected in the replication of those studies. So that is, some good info to have. Again, correlation does not equal causation. Yeah. And what's interesting is there's not even correlation to a lot of the risk factors people think. For vaccines and autism, there are no correlations even linked. I take that back. There have been 1 or 2 studies that when they analyze autism and vaccines decades ago, they found some very weak correlations but you only in subsets of groups within the studies that end up being, now we're at the point where 30 kids of the study fit this demographic, and now there's a slight correlation, and then they replicate that part and they rule it out. And so no correlation to vaccines and autism has survived the replication process. What about drinking substance uses as far as risk factors? You know what? As far as risk factors to autism, I don't know, but we do know. I'll look into that for sure, Butterbean. I do know oftentimes you'll find fetal alcohol syndrome, and autism is only a diagnosis for those that their behavior is not explained through a separate diagnosis. It can absolutely cause fetal alcohol syndrome. You should see my son before and after vaccines. Wendy, did you have a child who regressed? My child regressed too. It's traumatic. It's hard, Wendy. I'm there for you. How you holding up? Yeah, if you want, I'm seeing some people ask about the early signs of autism. You guys, I do have the MChat linked in my bio. That is the gold standard for measuring pre-screening for autism. It doesn't give your child a diagnosis. It just identifies risk factor if you have a toddler, that you can then take that score to your pediatrician. Or if it's high risk, you can take it directly to a psychologist and let them know that you would like an evaluation. Side eye was our first sign. Yeah, Samantha. Destiny, maybe. There's a lot that I could add there. I could add my thoughts on leucovorin to my screen, my thoughts on stem cells, my thoughts on early signs. There's a lot that we can repeat sometimes. Guys, anyone here feel like they're drowning? I share this sometimes. I don't know if anyone can relate, but I have days, and today's not that day, but a couple days ago, I definitely felt like this. Who's drowning? Who can relate to this feeling if you're an autism parent, of feeling like the entire weight of the whole world is on your shoulders and your back is about to break? Can anyone relate to that? I like Destiny's analogy. You feel like you're a puppy paddling in place going nowhere. Yeah, chronically ill 24-year-old with level 3 child, profound MRELD. Yeah, guys, the burnout is real. Burnout is real. I post a video of me going golfing with my son at Top Golf. It was like, once a week I went out and did a fun thing, and I was proud of myself for getting out. And it helps a lot to have a hobby. But I got a lot of people who thought that they were like, wow, that must be nice to have all this time to be able to go into a hobby. And I'm like, yeah, this was an hour of my time. Sorry guys, my screen's going crazy. Yeah, it's like an hour of my time. We all need an hour of our time each week to do something. Destiny, I didn't know that you have chronic illness. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Guys, it's a lot. I'm burned out. It's okay. It's okay to be burned out, you guys. How do you take care of yourselves? How do you take care of yourselves? What does self-care look like for you? And saying you can't do self-care can't be an answer. What do you do? What do you do for self-care, you guys? Therapy? Oh, that counts. That counts. Therapy is good. I go to therapy. A shower? Yeah. That's my wife's thing. My wife loves a long shower. Oh my gosh, Melissa, currently testing for lupus while caring for 2 with autism. Oh man. Wow, Destiny, I don't know what a lot of those things are. Those are things that you have or your child has. Oh, Wilma, I would like to know why my son hurts himself. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. I'll give me some more info of what you're seeing. Oh my gosh, Destiny, that's terrible. How do I get my adult daughter diagnosed? Anyone know somewhere in Central Texas? Guys, I am working on putting together a resource list for people. Um, there are more and more places that are willing to diagnose adults. More and more places willing to diagnose adults for sure. Um, all right, you guys. All right, I'm going to go ahead and have some guests come up. If you have and I'm just going to change my settings here so you guys can see it pretty easily. If you want to request up, and this makes it easy for people to see. If you want to request up, I want to have some real conversations with people, you guys. If you have a question about autism, please come up. Please request up, and we can have a conversation about it. A lot of these, there's a lot to explain, a lot of questions, and I want to just talk to people and see how you're doing, see how you're feeling, see how we can help as a community. Hey, Wilma, how are you? Where are you calling in from?
Hiya, how are you? I'm calling from Philadelphia.
Wonderful, wonderful. What question do you have for us today?
I have a 17-year-old autistic child. He's nonverbal,
Oh,
and I
okay.
would like to know, like, he's constantly screaming and punching himself, like on the cheekbone, and I have to be taking him to like emergency, make sure he didn't fracture his bone or anything.
Yeah,
And like he has bruises all in his face, and and then when I go to, brace him to calm down, he attacks me.
yeah. Oh my goodness. What supports do you have right now, Wilma?
Well, I have he go to speech therapy, he go to occupational therapy,
Yeah,
and now when I went to see his doctor, they put him on a medication like with kids with ADHD to see it calm him down. So
yeah.
they put a patch on him. It's
Okay.
called clonidine, but he said it
Yes.
give him time, maybe 2 weeks to start working, but I don't see any improvement.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, and it's wild. I mean, when you have a 2, 3-year-old, it
Hmm.
stops getting cute real quick when they start getting bigger.
Yes.
Um, and I've worked a lot with teens and adults in this exact situation. Let me tell you what needs to happen right now with your child.
Okay.
You need to find a behavior analyst, someone who does applied behavior analysis, and they need to conduct a functional behavior assessment with your child.
Okay.
What that's going to do is it's going to look at what happens to trigger the aggression and
Hmm.
why is your child doing this? Like, what is reinforcing the behavior to make it so they want to do that again in the future?
Okay.
And when they identify that, what they can then identify is what does your child need to learn to make it so he doesn't need to engage in this behavior. For example, if he's engaging in this behavior because he doesn't want to do something you're asking him to do, well, we need to
Hmm.
give him a voice and a way to communicate that he doesn't want to do something. If
Okay.
he's doing it because he wants something that he can't have, well, then we need to focus on toleration. And so there's a million things that could be going on as to why your child is engaging in these behaviors.
Okay.
But treating the behavior before you know the cause it can be really challenging. And so
Yeah.
you're in Philadelphia, you need to look up ABA and
Okay.
let them know that you're experiencing this. And I mean it you can this is an evidence way approach of addressing some of these severe behaviors. And I just want you to know, Wilma, like, I am sorry you're going through a lot.
Thank
And
you.
like, even those who are going to come and do an assessment, they don't know what it's like to be the mom here, where you
I
just trying to
know.
protect him makes him target you. Like, that is
Yes.
that is a terrifying thing for a mother to have to go through. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, thank you. It's like I'm really tired because I'm 60 years old and I'm his grandmother, his paternal grandmother, and his
Oh my
mother
goodness.
left him when he was a baby. So
No.
I stepped up to the plate
Are
and
you
I took
kidding
full
me?
custody of him. So
Holy
he sent me, and
cow.
I had him all his life. And he came out the hospital, and I'm tired. I'm really tired.
Oh my gosh. You're so tired. Who else is involved in his life? Do you have other family
His
involved?
father, just his father and I, but his
That's your
father's like
son?
always working. Yes,
Okay.
yes. And I just found out that his mother lives right around the corner from where I'm at, and she haven't seen him in about 9 years.
She
and she has
lives
no
right around the
relationship with
corner.
him, her family, none whatsoever.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like so
Oh,
exhausted. Like I don't sleep. There's nights that he doesn't sleep all night, and he just keeping me up all night, and I'm just like so overwhelmed.
okay. Have you applied for? Let me find out what it's called in Philadelphia. Um, hold on a second. Need to find what it's called. Um, you need to get on to a waiver, a community living waiver. Is he
Okay.
on a community living waiver yet? Have you applied?
Well, I don't know was that. All I know that
Okay.
he had a like a nurse aide coming and helping out for him with me, and
Yeah.
she was with me for 4 years. But she was dealing with health partners, and there was just it was like something going on there with her check, and she said she's not dealing with it anymore, so she stopped working. So
Yeah.
now I have agency coming over the house, and I have like greeting meetings with people so they could come, help me with him. But
Okay.
it's just the people that they come there. I don't see they're professional. I can't just trust my child with anyone.
Yes. Okay. You need to find out if he is currently getting community living waiver. That's what it's called in Philadelphia. Community living waiver. I
Okay,
need you
let
to
me
go
write
and
this
look
down.
that up and make sure that he has that because what that's going to do is that enables him to get in home and community support. It can have someone come and do respite so that it's not always just you, but they come over and they come and help out. It can have nurses, therapies, behavior analysts, like I'm talking about, to go and do a functional behavior assessment. They
Mm-hmm.
can have a group home where
Okay.
they go and they live outside of your home and they take care of them day in day out, but you go to do the fun stuff with them. And there's
Okay.
no shame in your child needing that. Some children do need that, especially
Okay.
as they get older into adults, and if you can't keep yourself and them safe. And
Okay.
so,
What is called community?
community living waiver.
Okay, I got this down.
Yes, please apply today for that. Call them, try to get that support because the support is there, and you shouldn't have to be handling this alone.
Okay.
So thank you so much for your question. I'm sorry that
Thank
you're
you
going
so
through
much.
this.
Thank
Yeah,
you
of
so
course.
much. You have a blessed day.
Yeah, you
Thank you.
too. All right, have a good one. All right, you guys, there's services out there, and we need to inform ourselves of what services are available for our children. The time to think about that is not when you are unsafe or when your child is a grown up. If you have a child with autism, there's a good chance that your child's going to need support when they're older. And yeah, sorry, I'm just thinking about that right now, and it's a lot when it hits me to think about what supports my child is going to need when they're older. It's a lot, you guys. Um, I think what's hard is we don't always know right now what support is needed. I think that's the hardest part. We don't know how much progress our children are going to make in the next 10 years. And um, I think we all kind of hope. I mean, these words are going to sound wrong, but I think somewhere inside all of us, we're just kind of hoping our kids grow up to be neurotypical when we know that's not what happens. Um, but there's still something in the back of our heads that make us feel like that. Um, yeah. I know I have a lot of people in the guest box requests. I know. I just am feeling it right now, you guys. Feeling how overwhelming it is to think of what supports my kids need. I guess I'm putting myself in this wonderful woman's shoes. Um, my son, he's 3.5, and this morning after I got him dressed, he wouldn't get up, and instead he was just kicking the wall as hard as he could. And he wasn't mad; he was just kicking, and I couldn't get him to stop. And just I don't know, every little thing that our children do when you think of what that's going to be like when they're older. It's hard, you guys. It's hard. It's hard. All right, you guys. Sometimes I need to take a quick breather. We're good. All right, let's bring some more people up. Let's have some conversations. The H team, hello. Where are you calling in from? Where are you from, the H team?
From Oregon.
Awesome. Awesome. What you got for us?
So my son is 20 years old now. He's high functioning, but when the first signs I started seeing about 11 months, and he started stuff just like the last person was saying. He started punching himself in the head, pulling his hair. And I know this doesn't work for everyone, but I actually I got a hold of a doctor in California that both of her sons are autistic, and on the side she would help. And she said to put him on a gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free diet. Before we even got to California, she did every single test possible with, even the urine and feces.
Yeah.
And she said that his system was completely overwhelmed with yeast.
Yeah.
And that causes like a foggy brain. So she put him on nystatin, and the way I would describe my son at 2, 3.5 was psychotic.
Yeah.
And it was sad. And once we put him on this medication, or the nystatin, and she said he was going to have die-off effects, where he had to, like sometimes we'd have to stop for a day because he would like be burping and get really bad gas by the die-off.
Yeah.
But we put him on it. He was in early intervention. Every time he'd go in, he wouldn't let the teacher touch him. She'd ask him to go play with Ethan. He walked in 4 days later, and it was amazing. It wasn't after the diet, it was after the nystatin. He walked in and he goes, "Hi, Teacher Debbie. Ethan, can I play with you?" And the teacher about crapped her pants. But then we would have to, like, if there was a lot of like die-off side effects, we'd have to stop for a day, and he'd go back to the same crazy behavior.
How old is your kid now?
He's 20.
He's 20.
And
Yeah.
he so that really helped him.
I
But
want to touch on that for just a second. This is more of a place to come up and ask questions and not to kind of share some of that stuff. I have concerns a little bit with it because sometimes when we talk about some of the leaky gut stuff or the detoxing stuff, I mean, there's a lot of tests out there. You can pay $700, do the oat test, which is now the most common that gives you some of the data that you're talking about. And anybody who takes it is going to get these results. That's a red flag of you got yeast and you got, all these problems with your gut. And this is one of those that they have done extensive randomized clinical trials, and they have not found that these protocols following gut health and like the results after the oat test and things like that, it does not directly impact autism symptoms. Now, if your kid has pain in their stomach, I mean, you should go to a GI doctor. But a lot of these things are sold online as functional medicine, and it's currently considered fringe science for people in the autism world. I'm not at all discounting what happened to your child. Our kids progress, and a lot of times we didn't do a randomized trial on our child. We can't always say what it was, and we don't know. And I'm so glad that your child has seen all of that. I really do. But I just want to make sure that my platform is aware of the current science on that, and I don't want anyone to go away thinking they need to do more than what they're
Oh,
already doing with their child.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I guess the only reason I brought it up is because Wilma was talking about her grandson, and
Yeah.
I did start with saying I know it doesn't work for everyone.
Yeah.
So sorry, my son's 20 years old.
Yeah.
He didn't really have much schooling, and you know, there's not really any help for him at his
How's he
age now.
doing
And
today? And how's life with your 20-year-old? Does he live with you? Is he
he's
in a group home, or where's he
Yeah,
at?
he lives with me. He's a great
Yeah.
kid, but like the other day, I'm like, I try to have him like go to the market and buy stuff, and I've gone over and over with it so many times, like he can't remember what a quarter is.
Yeah.
He can't remember, and I'm like, remember, Asher, it's the big one, and this is 25. Like teach him certain ways, but I feel like the way I'm working with him, it's not helping, and there's also not help in our area for his age,
Yeah.
like he's usually under 18.
Yeah. Yeah. It's remind me where you live.
Oregon.
Oregon, and how are the state services there? Have you looked at like the every state calls it something different. I don't even know what Oregon calls it, but the community supports that they have out there. Do you know what that's called? The disability services.
Well, there is great, I'm just drawing a
Find out what
blank.
it is.
But
I love bringing this up when people are in your shoes. I love bringing it up for the people listening mostly of like what should we be thinking in advance for our children. So let's see. In Oregon, their home and community-based services include aging and people with disabilities, APD. Is that it? Let's see. What is the difference between these three programs? I see APD and ODDS, Office of Developmental Disability Services.
he doesn't qualify it's like he doesn't qualify for any of those because he is high functioning.
Yeah.
And I hate it when people say that it's an invisible disability, like
Yeah.
when they're high functioning, but it's not fair to him. Like I don't know why I can't teach him this. I'm not a teacher. I'm his
Yeah.
mom, and I work with him as much as I can. But there's a place in Salem, which is about 15 minutes away from us. We're like a little bit rural, but I don't have a car right now, and I need to be
Yeah.
vocational
Yeah.
rehabilitation. That's it.
Yeah.
But
Has he
I have
tried
to be
Voc
able to
Rehab?
no, because I have to be able to drive him there, and we don't even have public transportation out here.
Oh my gosh, there's not even like a transportation service code that can come and pick him up or anything.
No,
Yeah.
no,
Oh
I
my
already
gosh.
talked to him, but I just it's just frustrating because I mean, single mom, part time. I don't have money to fix my car, but I want my son to get help.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Oh man, it's so hard. Yeah, I'm sorry. You're an amazing mom for autism doesn't end at 18. The struggles that
no.
come with it are lifelong, and you more than anyone know that. What advice would you have for parents in here that have little kids with autism? What other advice would you like to share before I move on to the next person?
Don't give up. It's going to be hard, but
Yeah.
just remember you're not doing anything wrong. You're doing the best you can. And even though times get hard, just maybe try to find somebody to lean on, but you're a great mom. Just, I want to remind people of that. Or parent.
Yeah. Or dad. Some of us are
Yeah.
dads.
Yeah, I know. I'm like
just
looking
kidding. I'm
at
just
you.
kidding. No,
But
it's
I'm a mom. I'm sorry. That's what I thought.
look, it's mostly moms. I got to tell you, it's not it I'll be the one to say it. It's mostly moms. But yeah.
But
Thank
it is
you.
pretty
Thank you so much.
admirable, even if a dad doesn't have a special needs kiddo, if the dad is helping out that much.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you even talking about this. I've been watching a lot. So anyway,
Thank you
hope
so
you have a
much.
great day.
I appreciate
Everybody,
it. Thank you for coming up here. All right.
yeah.
Have a good one.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
All right, you guys. I got to tell you, something messed me up today. I am feeling overwhelmed by my child's future. So let's talk about it. I don't know. How often do you guys think about what your child's going to be like when they're an adult? If you have a young kid, do you think about this often? Our last two guests have adult kids with autism, so I think it's fresh on my mind. Who here is worried about what's going to happen to your child when they're an adult? Are they going to go and get married? Are they going to go and have kids of their own? Are they going to be able to do those things? Are they going to be able to have a job? Are they going to be happy? Are they going to be safe? Are they going to be able to protect themselves from abuse and neglect? Man, I don't always think about it, you guys. I think I think about it at times, and today it's just hitting me hard to think about it. Yeah, I mean, my kid's only 3.5, and he's made a lot of progress, but man, there's a lot I need to do to prepare. So, oh my gosh, thank you for that. I appreciate the gift. You know how to raise my spirits. Look, guys, I am having a little bit of a hard time. Let's bring up some friends. We can have friends up here and just have a good conversation with people. If you're a regular on the live and you just want to come up and chat and tell me about your day and tell me how things are going, you guys can come up. I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of have a conversation for a little bit before we end for the day. So, hey, Mom of Two, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Where are you from?
Oklahoma.
Very cool. Very nice. I've seen you on here before, right? Have we talked?
Not in the box, but I've talked to you mostly in the comments. Yeah, I come in probably a couple times a week.
Yeah. Did you have something in mind that you wanted to talk about, or just coming up to say hi?
Yeah, actually I did. But I knew you were overwhelmed, so I wasn't gonna bring it up. So.
No, do it. Let's chat. Yeah.
My son is
I'm good.
Xander. He is 6 years old. He is level 2, ADHD, cerebral palsy, epilepsy. We got a few diagnoses.
Wow. How old is he?
6.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, you got a journey ahead of you.
Yeah.
How are you holding up?
That is a minute-by-minute question.
Yeah.
Right now we're having a struggle because the lovely school decided they were going to use him as a guinea pig to try a pilot program, which is called Blended, and it's for kids with cognitive delay and behavioral and developmental delays, and basically throwing them in gen ed all day.
Wow.
With para support and a SPED teacher that comes in half the day. The para is there all day.
How has it worked for him?
It's not. He is so behind because they think this will get them to catch up faster.
Yeah.
Which is not the case with most of our kids.
No. I just need to say thank you real fast to Roxy and the H team. You guys, I didn't see those come in. You guys are too kind sending all these gifts up, and yeah, sorry, go ahead.
So I had to get that out before I explained my actual question. But
yeah.
So we're having issues with them not understanding breaks. So he has a hard time focusing. Yeah. And he does work avoidance. Well, he'll scream and he'll hide because, one, he doesn't transition well. I have given them, I don't know how many countless things of advice. Well, I've gotten met with, well, they get all kinds of breaks. They get to go to the bathroom. They get to do this. That's not what I mean by a break.
Oh my gosh.
Even his IEP goal for like OT is 10 minutes of work with fidgets, but they're not even trying to do that in the classroom. They're just doing it.
Did they give you the option of doing this new program or having him in his original classroom?
No.
Or did they get rid of that classroom? Does that classroom not exist anymore and they just transitioned everyone to this?
No, they still have the self-contained room. That's what he was for kindergarten. They literally called me in the middle of the summer. It was like July when they called me and said, hey, we're changing his program.
Wow. They just told you that it was happening. They didn't give an option. They just said, "Hey, we're doing this."
No.
My goodness. Man, oh man, if my kid is not given all the accommodations he needs, I'm gonna flip. My neurotypical child came home and was feeling sick and like ran straight into the bathroom. I'm like, what happened? He's like, I couldn't go to the bathroom at school. I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, the teacher said that we're only allowed to go twice in the day, and so I couldn't go. And I told my son, I'm like, look, I don't care what your teacher says. If you need to go to the bathroom ever and your teacher says no, you walk out of that classroom and you go to the bathroom, because you're not going to hold it in. You're not going to make yourself sick. You're going to go use the bathroom. And if they get mad at you, if they call me, like, it'll be okay. Just don't go and like play around in the hallway. That's not what we're talking about. And I trust my kids not to do that. But man, for my kid with autism, oh man, he needs all the breaks, all the supports, and I don't know. So what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do about this? Do you feel like you can make it work in this classroom if they give him the accommodations he needs, or is there a different option for him?
That's the thing. This program is only a pilot, so it only goes up to 2nd grade. So by 2nd grade, if he is not up to par, which he's not going to be, I would love to say in confidence he would be, he's going to have to go back to self-contained, which is going to be a double-edged sword, because yes, he is making a little bit of friends, but he is being forced to listen to gen ed curriculum while actually doing pre-K stuff.
Yeah.
And on top of it, his progress has always been slow. He's not been a regressor. It's been very slow progress.
Yep.
Like, we can get him to count up to 5 now, which is great.
Yeah.
And he knows, I think, 9 letters in the alphabet.
Wow.
Again,
okay.
Great. But that's a significant amount of progress for him.
And remind me, it sounds like there's some medical complexity here too, right? What are his other diagnoses?
He also has ADHD, cerebral palsy.
Oh.
And epilepsy.
So, oh my goodness. Okay, he does have medical complexity as well to go along with this. Are they able to support that medical complexity? I mean, how's his movement with cerebral palsy? Does he need physical therapy or anything? Is he moving okay?
He is walking. He has mild CP.
Okay.
So his is more of writing, which we're still working on pre-writing strokes. He has adaptive tools. I've had to fight them on that one because last year I got met with, are you sure they even worked with him in the special needs preschool with his writing? And he kept saying everything was hard. And I was like, yeah, because his hands are tiring out. He can't hold that grip for that long. I had to get multiple doctor's notes of being like, hey, he has this. Y'all, come on. It's going to affect him here.
Yeah.
So OT is working on the hand stuff. He is able to walk. He does walk with like a gait, and he like trips over his feet. Like, he does fall, but
yeah,
it's not as.
And the epilepsy's
severe.
managed?
No.
Oh, so he's having seizures at school.
If they can actually admit they catch him.
Oh, or they're not grandma then. They're seeing that they might not even notice the seizures. Oh.
He has 2 different types.
Oh, wow.
He has, he's got the 1 step down from grandma, which we don't see those very often, which thankfully those are terrifying. What we do see and what he has the main problem with is his absent seizures.
Yep.
And he likes to cluster those.
Yeah.
So they have actually tried to send him home last year for being because he went behavioral, he went post-ictal.
Yeah.
He had too many of them back to back. I show up to get him, and sure enough, I'm talking to the teacher. I look down, he's in one. And I said, well, there's a seizure.
Cow.
She goes, oh crap, we are so missing those. And I'm like,
She admitted that, huh?
well, yes, but now I'm trying to get her mother to admit that. That's fun.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. Well, look, here's what I would do if I was in your shoes. There'd be two options for the school. One is, and I wouldn't tell them these two options, but my very first thing would be, look, my child needs one-on-one at all times, and this classroom's not working out. Here is the way that his IEP needs to be implemented. Can you do this? If they cannot, I would be pulling my child out and having him catch up with ABA. I don't know how far your kid is into a lot of the development things, but I mean, it sound well. You expressed a lot of that stuff. He would be a great candidate for ABA instead of school if they're not going to accommodate him. But I wouldn't give them that option, because what you'll see quite often is schools that don't want to accommodate will just say, "Oh man, fine, all right, go ahead and just pull him," and they'll kind of want you to do that. And so try to get them to accommodate first. Fight this, push this, advocate for them to at least follow their IEP. You can request their documentation of implementing the IEP. And so if there's aspects of the IEP you don't think they're doing, you ask them to see the data. They have to report on it every day. And so ask to see the data, see where they stand, and if you can't get it successful, just know that polling and
yeah.
doing a year of ABA is not a bad idea.
But that's the thing. Like, we didn't get his diagnosis until he was 4.5.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, OT, ABA. And I'm like, how do I choose between ABA and school? Like, that's where I'm stuck.
Yeah.
Because I go, he likes the socialization. He's a social autistic kid.
Yeah.
May it be awkward and totally up to him? Yes. But he is very social.
Yeah, and you could put him in a clinic with other kids. It doesn't take away the social. Here's my stance on it. My kid does both ABA and school, but does half days of school. However, at school, he has a one-on-one aide who is trained in ABA, and so they're doing skill building all day. And if he didn't have a one-on-one person the whole day at school, if he wasn't making progress, I'd have him in ABA. They have to be hitting their goals. They have to be making progress, or else insurance doesn't want to pay them. And so, I mean, the support in ABA is one-on-one. Your kid is going to learn. The decision, I'm not saying always do ABA. If your school can support your child how they need to be supported, or if your child doesn't need one-on-one and they're learning great, they're catching up and they're doing good, you don't need to. But if your child is really behind and the school is not able to provide not even just one-on-one that sits there with them, but one-on-one that is trained on teaching skills, if they're not getting that quality support, ABA is going to be a much more intensive and supportive environment. And if you do it in clinic, they also get the social component and can work on social skills.
Yeah. That's most definitely. I'm trying to like wrap my brain around it and try to figure out what to do, because I love some of his teachers that he has. And I love, like, they love the kids, but there's not enough training that it's just in communication. They also have lost him or allowed him to elope.
Oh, no.
They sent him to the bathroom
Didn't they
by himself.
Where was his one-on-one? I thought he had a one-on-one. They sent him to the
No,
bathroom by himself?
it's not technically a one-on-one. Technically it's a two-on-one.
Oh, no.
It's 2 kids to 1 para, because that's how many's in this room. And
Oh.
so
You know what? He might not be
sent him
ready
to the
for this.
bathroom,
They lost him going to the bathroom. Yeah.
and he wondered, and he told me he got lost. The school didn't tell me. He told me. He even told me who found him.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow. The school didn't tell you?
No.
Are you kidding me? When was this? How long ago was this?
3 weeks.
Okay. Nope. You start calling ABA places with clinics. That's what I would be doing. That school's not able to support your child. They have not demonstrated that that's what's best for your child. And before you do that, call around to the ABA clinics and see when they can get them in. But they can do 30 to 40 hours a week of ABA. They can match what the school hours are doing. And
Yeah, most of our clinics minimums are at least 30.
Yeah, and that's crazy to have a minimum of at least 30. A lot of the research shows that even 20 hours can have significant impact. So, but yeah, call around, see what options there are. But you are not like giving up on your child. In fact, this is providing better supports for your child to have a one-on-one who is going to be taking data and working on progress and skills the entire time. That's my recommendation. And I would be irate as the parent. I'm sure you were so frustrated.
Uh, yeah, I kept having to remind myself I don't look good in orange.
Well, that's okay because they don't always put mirrors in prisons either. So you don't even have to look at yourself. So no, I'm with you. I'm with you. That's frustrating. Hey, I'm going to go ahead and move on. Thank you so much for coming up and sharing that. You're going to do great. And that's kind of my recommendation of what I'd do if I were in your shoes.
Thank you.
All right. You have a good one, you guys. Guys, I am out here just thinking today. My thought is just lost in my children's future today. That's where my brain is. For those of you that are new here, make sure that you're following. I do go live every day, so hit the follow button that's right there. It doesn't even take you away from my page. And then after you hit that follow button, it lets you do the heart me's. It's a really, really great way to show your support to me. You can do it once a day, and it means a lot when you do it. So it sends it out to more people as well. Thank you for considering that. Let me give you a little bit of a rundown of what I do. So I go live every day. The mornings, it's more of autism support. We talk to parents. We talk to each other. We laugh together. We cry together. I was having a rough moment there, and you guys picked me up. I saw some comments come in on the YouTube, which I am guaranteeing that I'll read. I apologize for not getting to it earlier for those of you on the YouTube. Let's see. Do we need to go to a neurologist after we get the diagnosis of autism? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. So a lot of times the next steps after getting a diagnosis, the psychologist should walk you through doing some genetic testing. Sometimes that autism can be a prompt for other genetic disorders that are not autism, such as like Fragile X and things like that you should do some genetic testing for. But after that, you want to build up your care team. If you want a neurologist on that, if you do have concerns that are relevant to a neurologist, you can always do that. That's specifically, I would recommend that for sure if there's like any seizures or things like that. But they don't usually have to do any brain scans or anything like that if your child has autism. Let's see. Big teddy bear, between autism and this world, I am definitely drowning. Every day I think of what the future holds for my son. I am trying to prepare myself daily to let go my dreams for him or preconceived notions go. His path will appear however it does, but it's hard. Guys, that is one of the hardest parts. That's one of the hardest parts is having, man, and you think you get through it. You think that you go through this process and you're just okay with your kid and the way they're going. And you know what? I'm the proudest dad. You watch any video of me talking about my kids, and I'm a proud dad. I'm a proud dad of my son with autism, but there are days, and today's one of those days where it just hits me hard of, what does the future entail? And am I doing enough? Am I doing everything for him? And, I think I am. I think I am. All right, you guys. Some basics here. I want to encourage everybody to please. We do have a Facebook group and we do have a Discord chat. Both of those are positive vibes only. It is there for support. I guess not positive vibes only because you can come on there to cry, to complain, to have issues, and we are there to support. But it's a place where we support each other and that we're not judgmental or rude to each other. We don't sell to each other. And so please join those if you're interested. Also consider hopping over to YouTube and subscribing over there. Always looking for more subscribers over there, fairly new to it. And also make sure you're subscribing here. I usually go live from noon Eastern time to 2 p.m. And it's more of parent support. And then after at night when I go live, sometimes the way that I cope with things is I get a little angry. And we have, okay, that's a lie. I'm not usually angry, but we do have good discussions on things I am passionate about. Those things include things like, I don't believe vaccines contribute to autism. I don't think we have any data to support that. I don't think detoxing works, and I think at times it can be harmful and expensive. I don't think that autism is something that can be reversed. And I allow people to come up and have discussions with me. I love to have those conversations because it's important to me, and it's one way that I can feel like I'm making the world a better place for my children, and that's all that matters. So, you guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end it right now. Go ahead and make sure that you're following me. I'm gonna go have some lunch and hug my kids. So I'll talk to you guys later. See you guys.